Welcome back to Close Up. Congresswoman Annie Kuster is leaving her seat in Congress, having won 6 consecutive elections in the 2nd Congressional District. Several candidates are jockeying to fill that seat, Republicans and Democrats. We want to bring back in Steve Marchand and Mike Dennehy. Gentlemen, first, your big takeaway from the CD2 debates, and we'll start with you, Steve.
Well, clearly the marquee, perhaps of the week, was the 2nd CD Democratic primary. This has transformed over the last few months from what I think a lot of pundits, a lot of well-informed Democrats guessed would happen. And it really, I was watching to see if Colin, who is likely behind, was going to be able to leverage attacks to drag it back down and get him back in the game. Much easier said than done. And obviously the 30-minute format probably truncated that opportunity a little bit more. And I thought Maggie generally comported herself pretty well in a few different ways that I suspect we'll discuss to try to get ahead of or mute some opportunities Colin was looking for.
What about you, Mike? Big takeaway.
Yeah, I'll tell you, as a Republican, I was so happy to see so many candidates running on the Republican side. It's an open seat for the 2nd Congressional District, really for the first time since Charlie Bass. Well, actually, Charlie Bass lost to Annie Kuster, so it's been since the 90s. So heated on both sides. I'm happy to see that kind of activity, and I think it's good for New Hampshire.
Let's start with a little soundbite from that CD2 Democratic debate. Interesting that they've had some contrast on abortion, but Colin Van Oosteren has had Annie Kuster essentially making that attack against Maggie Goodlander, and she was calling him out in this debate. And take a look.
He attacks my commitment, and this is exactly why Governor John Lynch and other Democrats across this state have said he's running the most dishonest campaign they've ever seen. Colin, you were the spokesman for an anti-choice congressman. I am not questioning your commitment to reproductive freedom, and how dare you question mine?
Well, I would like to respond. First, I want to say, Maggie, thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure it's been hard. I hope that we get to a place as a country where you don't have to share stories like that in order to protect reproductive rights, but I appreciate you doing it. I think it's an important part of the process. I also think that what voters are watching for from us tonight is to hear ideas about how we can take our country forward.
Steve, that really illustrates the difficulty of the abortion issue, and you have one candidate that's a man and one candidate that's a woman. There was a big fight there, and Colin essentially had to just stand down. I
ran in a one-on-one primary against a woman, a statewide race, and it did not go well. There are many reasons, but if you look nationally, since Trump was elected, 2018 on, the win rate when you have one straight white guy versus one woman where there's no incumbent involved in a Democratic primary is well north of 90%, and that includes times when the male candidate had more money and maybe had more name ID, some day one advantages. Colin and Maggie, a lot of talent, both of them, but Maggie is a first-time candidate. A couple things to be really impressed with there, just tactically. One, she looked directly at Colin when she said what she said. That is rare and powerful. Two, while Colin was responding, trying to balance being sensitive to what was going on with trying to deliver a contrast, she continued to look at him the entire time that he spoke. Again, you rarely see this even at the upper presidential level. That's very powerful. It was very effective, and it really highlights the challenge. And again, these are two very talented, well-funded, well-equipped campaigns. But that was a microcosm of the challenge that I think Colin has been facing the last few months in this head-to-head race.
Mike, there's plenty of surface area for Colin to attack on Maggie Goodlander, and yet he's not succeeding in getting back into a closer race. Why is that?
Yeah, well, first, the Democratic race for governor and CD2, two of the nastiest races you've seen in a long time. I congratulate the Democrats for having primaries. I really do. But I just want to say, from someone who's seen hundreds of debates over the years, that moment by Maggie Goodlander was a mic drop moment. Very impressive for her to take it to that level for a first-time candidate, as Steve mentioned too. I think you kind of seen Colin shrivel a little bit, and he's run great campaigns in the past, but it just seems to me momentum's on Maggie Goodlander's side. Everything's going for her. The John Lynch switch and the ad from John Lynch was just a killer for Colin Van Hoff.
Can we just add, what the heck? I mean, everyone is talking about John Lynch. They've never heard him be that forceful with someone, even his own opponents in gubernatorial races, 100%. Steve. He's never done anything like that before.
Well, which makes it even more powerful, right? Uniqueness, when something stands out like that. You know, one thing I do want to mention, and we'll see next Tuesday, and it could be a very close race, we'll see, but it may turn out that the key moment in that primary was the moment that Becky Whitley stepped away from the race, because I do think, and I mentioned the statistics nationally in congressional, Senate, and governor, the higher level races, it's very unlikely that somebody in Colin's position will win typically. But the times where they are able to pull it off is typically when there's a third candidate that is splintering votes. The gender element is so powerful in Democratic primaries that if you have a talented candidate, in this case like Maggie, even somebody like Colin, who I know well, I ran against him, one of the most disciplined candidates I have ever been with. Very impressive candidate. That tells you a lot about all the things we're talking about today, because Maggie also very impressive as a first-time candidate.
Let's get into that CD2 Republican race, and this was looking a little bit like a jump ball between Vikram Ancharamani and Lily Tang Williams in the polling. There was an interesting moment at the end of this debate. Structurally, Vikram got the last answer, and he used it to kick some shins. Take a listen.
I'm the best candidate to win in November. Bill was a registered Democrat earlier this year. Lily was the chairman of the Libertarian Party in Colorado, ran. She's run in 2 different states twice, 3 different offices, 4 different elections over the last years. She's now a Republican. But I think we need to unify the Republicans. That's the key.
That's time. Okay. You know what? You can learn more about the candidates, about positions on many issues. We're stuck at the end here, guys. I'm sorry. So Vikram Ancharamani, like the boxer who lands that punch a little bit after the bell, Mike, what does that tell you about where he thinks this race is going? And do you lose something with voters potentially if you get a little sneaky like that?
First, I also want to say, Adam, you did a great job in the debates. It was fun. It was really fun to watch, and not easy for you, I'm sure. I think it was a mistake for Vikram to do that at the end. He should have done it beforehand, because you contradict yourself. We need to unify the party, and then you smack them in the head at the same time. I understand his points, but I think he could have landed them better earlier in the program. Vikram had a good debate. They all actually had a good debate. And I'll tell you, Bill Hamlin, who's new to the scene, if he had started like this maybe 2 months ago, he'd be higher in the polls. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting night on Tuesday when you look at the final results,
And Steve, the appeal of Lily Tang Williams really illustrates the power of narrative, right? She has an amazing story. She tells that story, and Republicans and other people have been very interested in that, from what I've seen.
One of the good things that can come out of primaries, including the CD2 Republican primary, is that if it's done correctly by all candidates, this is how you build a bench. And you can build a bench with a variety of narratives among the different candidates, both the winner and the non-winners. And if the Republicans handle their business well, whatever happens on Tuesday, they can both build their bench a little bit more. And the other thing I'd say is, look, this has become a very difficult congressional district for Republicans to win in all but wave years, and there's no evidence that this is going to be a Republican wave year. If anything, it'll be competitive at best for a Republican, but it's likely to be a Democratic leaning year here. All that said, having a candidate as the nominee that will do no harm and can maybe fund a little bit themselves in order to create a baseline of competitiveness might be the best for a ticket-wide strategy the Republicans could hope for. And I think it's pretty clear here that would lead to one direction over the others in that case.
And real quick, Mike, as we wrap up, has Vikram been conservative enough in this primary to win? We know he's trying to win that general spot, but has he been conservative enough?
I do think, well, certainly his advertising's been conservative enough, and that's the question, has he had enough?
All right. Gentlemen, thanks so much for all of the expertise and perspective. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, and stay with us after the break. We'll join up with Scott Spradling and jump into the mix of the 4-candidate Republican debate in the 1st Congressional District.